Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Nose Facebook page for the talkback for Krampus Claus by Sean P. Meddy, which is now available on Radio No. Radio No is brought to you in part by Mest Comics, and these live events are brought to you by Joe Mock and the Real Pro team at Cutler Real Estate. So thank you to our sponsors. My name is Liz Carmen. I am the communications manager at the No Theater, which means that if you see our Facebook posts, our tweets, if you get our newsletters, you're used to hearing from me. I was also the director of Krampus Claus. So I am so excited to be here with some incredible people. I'm going to make them introduce themselves. Jared, can you say hi and tell us who you are and tell us what your role was in this whole exciting shebang?
Yes, hello. I am Jared Erland, and I had the pleasure of playing Munster and Ulbrecht.
So then could the gentleman who looks not at all sketchy in a Santa suit, could he tell us who he is, please?
Why?
Seriously, I've never seen him before.
Well, my name is Sean P. Meddy. I am the writer of Krampus Claus. And this is something I own and not a rental.
We'll let you draw your own conclusions about the gentleman, folks. No, he's lovely. We're glad he's with us. Zoe, can you say hi and tell us who you play in this?
Hi, I'm Zoe. I play Kahira in this fabulous radio play.
Beautiful. And then, James, do you still have the kitty? Yes. Can the gentleman in the kitty ears please identify himself?
Oh, the kitty ears. Oh, the Krampus kitty ears. Hi, I'm James, and I do the Krampus thing from time to time, it seems. Certainly at least once this year.
Yes. Hope you all have been good so James doesn't show up on your doorstep on Christmas.
Either way.
And then finally, Adam, you perfect human being. What's your name, Adam?
That's a terrible introduction. Now there's so much pressure. I am Adam Tran, and in this Happy Christmas play, I'm obviously playing Chernabag, the Slavic god of death.
Yes. Obviously. So, I am so sorry. I am getting some things set up on my computer. So, Sean, this story takes a lot of things that I think we take for granted about the Christmas mythos and subverts that. So how did this idea come about? Where did you decide that you wanted to turn Christmas on its head?
Well, it started a few years ago. The No Theater had announced their season theme of Fear Itself. And Kristen Ruthmeyer Hammer, who was an employee at the No Theater at the time, and I were talking. She had just stage managed a show I was doing that I had produced, and we were talking, and I had this idea for this smaller second stage show where Krampus was good and Santa was bad. And I had the end of the show first. I knew I knew the big boss battle, but then it kind of evolved out of that into what we have now. This mixture of different cultures and Christmas themes from around the world. I learned a lot about Iceland. If you want to know, if you want a place that's filled with magic still and has a plethora of holiday spirits and creatures, Iceland.
Yeah, with one of my friends, hi, Nick, if you're watching this, the elves of Iceland are just like a recurring theme in our friendship. Like, they just keep popping up. That's a true story. I mean, like, they don't keep popping up, but like references to them keep reappearing. As far as I know, we have not been visited by fairies here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
You haven't. I have. I mean, I don't know about other people. That is a regular occurrence for me.
I mean, there's a little goblin who's prancing around my feet. You might see him behind me at some point. So who says there aren't magical creatures in Cincinnati? Not me. So Now, for the actors, most of you sound pretty unrecognizable from at least one of your roles in this. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how you come up with, like, how do you create a vocal performance that is so different from your own sound? Where do you start? Jared, you're first on my screen. Do you have thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like anything, it starts with the text. And Sean did a wonderful job of writing Ulbrecht very dryly. He has lots of one-word responses. I usually take a lot of inspiration from different like movies and cartoons, and I drew a lot of Snape-isms for Ulbrecht. And then for Munster, he's just, you know, impish and obnoxious, and I went in that direction, I guess.
I kind of thought he sounded like a Smurf when you did it.
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, for Munster, it was just kind of about like how can I make him sound very small but very authoritative, and just someone you would want to throw across the room.
I mean, I think we all know some people that we would like to throw across the room. Whether we have the upper body strength to do it is perhaps another issue. Hey, Adam. Not that you've ever thrown anyone across the room, but do you have thoughts on this? As Chernobog is so, like, knowing your voice, I would not recognize you as Chernobog.
Yes. So obviously Sean gave us a lot in the way that he writes the character, so that's the first thing. I'm literally just saying exactly what Jared just said. But it's because it was a smart answer, and it was because it was the right answer, for at least for me.
I mean, no, it's totally true. Sean is extremely good. I'm going to talk about him like he's not right here. Sean is very good at creating voice for like individualized voices for his characters.
Yes. So I know that a lot of people didn't take the accent bait, which was really obvious in some cases, you know, like it was like the obvious choice. But I decided to do that, to take the bait and to base Chernobag on John Malkovich's character from Rounders.
That's usually what you were doing. I had no idea. This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
Yeah. If you listen close, just the way the H's hit, that's just, I just stole straight from John Mez.
That's delightful.
Yeah.
So Zoe, were you plagiarizing shamelessly from a famous person? Or
Only a little. I second everything that Jared and Adam said about Sean. He gave us a ton of really helpful things to go off of. Something that I always play around with is pitch. That's kind of my starting point. So my natural speaking voice is a little bit lower. And Kahira, I think, is a younger character than I am. I think she's the youngest of the sisters. So I really tried to pitch that voice up a little bit and then just lean into her youthful, giddy excitement. So I was plagiarizing off of a little Princess Anna, a little Frozen action. So that was my inspiration there.
That's so amazing. And Zoe, do you feel at all like attacked? Because I know that you did Sean's last show at the Carnegie, and now you did this one. Are we sure that it's a coincidence that Mr. Medi keeps putting you in mortal peril?
Yeah, I mean, no spoilers, but I guess there's just something about me that wants to be attacked. I don't know.
Right. James, just tell us what the demon voice was. Like, because I kept stopping him as we recorded and rehearsed, and I was like, are you comfortable? This sounds like it has to hurt. And he was like, no, it's fine. And then he was indeed fine all through it. So tell me about that, James.
I mean, it remains to be seen if I'll still be fine. But yeah, no, honestly, I had an acting teacher years ago one time tell me a terrible thing, particularly about voice work, which is that, like, he said, you know, your first best choice is always just your natural voice. And so what I did is our first read through, I know it was terrible advice. So when I first read through, I kind of did that. And then I got like really in my own head about the stuff that I hated about my own voice. And then I leaned into all that stuff, basically. So yeah, it was a little bit of self-flagellation of like me sort of listening for whatever stood out to me, and then kind of just doing that harder with a little growl sometimes. And I really liked, I mean, this is a very unique take, but like the character written by Sean Matei, it really felt like there's just a lot of like interesting meat to kind of play it in all sorts of directions. And I sort of took the opportunity to sort of lean into the description of half demon, because I wanted some naturalness to the voice, but I also wanted some like monstrousness. And I felt like it was a really good opportunity to give a little mishmash vocally, since it was already there textually and in the relationships with the characters. And so this is one of my like bucket list things that I've gotten to do now. So thanks.
Really?
Yeah.
Was be Krampus.
Well, to do a voice like this in a project like this, since I think I was 12 years old, I had like a fantasy of being like a Jafar-like kind of character. And this is the closest I've ever gotten, and I'm completely happy with it.
That's amazing, because you're 1,000,000 feet tall, and you'd think that somebody would have cast you as an imposing badass. But here we are. This is my friend James. Cast him, people. I'm gonna come back to that later, but hey, Henry, how are you, buddy? Could you please play clip 1 for us? This is a little sample of Krampus Claus.
I didn't say throw the Vulpertinger.
If it's dead, Frau Perkta can just resurrect it.
I'm not the solution to all your problems, child.
It was a joke.
You're not the one that has resurrected it 6 times this year.
But 6 times? Girls, you need to be more careful with the Vulpertinger. Try not to accidentally kill it more than twice a year.
Twice?
Little steps make a mile.
Little steps make a mile.
What?
If you start making bad jokes, I'm leaving.
Well, I do have a good one about tinsel.
That last line was, I do have a good one about tinsel. Hey, Sean,
Yeah.
can you go ahead and tell us your dad joke about tinsel?
Yeah, of course I will. And this joke was in the show really up to the point where I had to give the actors scripts. So it's what happens when you eat the decorations off of the tree? You get tinselitis. Tinselitis. It's like tinsel, but it's an itis.
Wait, hold on. No, I'm not sure that I get it. Just explain it to me again, because that'll probably make it funnier.
Okay, well, you see.
So one of the reasons why I love that little bit is because it introduces, or it doesn't introduce us, but we get to spend some time with the Vulpertinger, which is, I actually had never heard of the Vulpertinger until I was working on this show. It's like an Austrian jackalope, but it has wings and also is, according to Wikipedia, has an uncontainable lust for human women.
Isn't that
doesn't feature in
amazing?
the show.
Vulpertingers only want one thing, and it's disgusting.
And we should describe, most accounts of this creature are like a rabbit with antlers, fangs, and wings.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, like a Vulpertinger looks like. That's right.
Like the Vulpertinger looks like.
Yeah.
But so there are so many different parts of folklore, like Krampus and Perkta and the Vulpertinger and the Jolekaturen and Grilla and the Mariluid. So I'm interested in hearing from people, like, how much of this was new to you? How much of this folklore did you know? What did you rather suspect that Sean was just making up out of whole cloth? Zoe, how about we start with you for this one?
I knew very little. I learned a lot from this process as well. I think I knew like the general Krampus fable, and other than that, not a lot. But I liked thinking of the Yolakaturin as just the little kitty pet.
We explain this in the play, but in Icelandic folklore, the Yolakaturin is a giant cat who attacks people who are wearing who didn't receive new clothes for Christmas, which honestly sounds very classist to me, but nobody in Iceland asked me. Yeah, Christmas folklore. Oh, Zoe, is there anything else sort of folklore or magic-y that you associate with Christmas? What did Sean forget is what I'm asking.
What did Sean forget? Yeah, I mean, nothing's really coming to mind. I don't know where the reindeer were, but other than that.
There's just one joke about eating reindeer, which I'm sure we would never to Rudolph. Hey, Adam. Hi, my friend. Had you heard of Chernobog before I asked you to play Chernobog?
Yeah. Because of American Gods.
Because of American Gods.
But also I have just a little bit of a thing for folklore in general, and so a lot of times I'll find myself, if I find one interesting character in a culture's folklore, then I want to learn about all of it. Spent a lot of times with the Norse and with the Greeks because that's the biggest volume of mythology. But
right.
Yeah. But yeah, Chernobog has crossed my path a couple of times.
That's so exciting, and I am probably going to want to tell you all of my feelings about Ragnarok at some point offline. I mean, the actual event, not just the movie. Although I have lots of feelings about that too.
Happy to hear about them both.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. The reindeer thing. So in Alaska, you can get reindeer burritos at the gas station.
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
Oh God.
Delicious.
Are they?
Yeah, they're so good.
I've been a vegetarian for years, but I'm prepared to believe you.
Reindeer is better meat than regular sausage or something. So it's pretty good.
It's like kangaroo meat.
How the hell would I know that, James?
I mean, I wouldn't have put money on your being a reindeer connoisseur either, but here we are.
Wouldn't you?
I guess smart money should have been on reindeer between kangaroo and reindeer.
Yeah. Much further. So the folklore, for me, that the only thing that I was missing in this Christmas play, because I'm half Vietnamese, was I wanted the little red envelopes with gold letters on them and money inside. So
if you're talking about your paycheck, Adam, it's in the mail. No, that's actually,
that wasn't subtle enough.
I knew about that as a Chinese New Year's tradition, but I didn't know that it was a Christmas thing in Vietnam.
I mean, Vietnamese people use it for every damn thing. If there's a holiday of any kind, you get a red envelope with lettering on it, and there's money inside.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's dope.
Yeah. It's much better than the way my family celebrates holiday, which is with passive aggression. That's a joke, family. I know you're watching and I love you.
It's a pretty popular theme, I think.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag the holidays.
Yeah.
Jared, as our elf. Okay, elves, there are so many elves in different kinds of folklore. What kind of elf were you visualizing? What kind of elf is Ulbrecht?
I was visualizing like a Keebler elf.
Yes, that's legit.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, here's a question. When Kahira hugs Ulbrecht and she says, "Oh, your coat is so soft," is that like a coat like a garment or a coat like a pelt?
It is a coat like a garment.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I listened to this today and I kept thinking as I was hearing it, and I've been separated from the script for a little bit. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of lines that foreshadow stuff at the end. More than
Yes.
I realized I wrote in.
Yeah, I was listening to it today, and it was that moment where I was like, your coat is so soft. Is that like a reindeer has a coat? I mean, not after Adam gets to it, obviously, but that's good to know. Thank you, Mr. Medi. Sorry, Jared. You were, yes, as a Keebler elf.
Yes, that's how I envisioned it. And as far as the different folklore things, I hadn't heard of pretty much any of these, except for Krampus, thanks to Tumblr, and learning about the hilarity of the most like Eastern European Christmas spirit you could think of. Someone who travels around with a sack to kidnap the kids rather than give them gifts, and hits them with sticks because why not, you know? But I was very pleased to learn about the Yolakaturin and see all of the fun little drawings people have made of the hilarity that can ensue from a cat the size of a house.
Cat the size of a house. And here's a fun fact for everybody out there. Iceland doesn't have large cats. Like there's no like big cat that is native to that region. So it's not like you're getting the story from someplace that actually has like tigers. They just have house cats. And they're like, you know, it'd be messed up if that was really big. And also hates you because you're poor. There's just so many layers here. Hi, James.
Hi.
How familiar were you with Krampus? And how long have you been waiting to play him?
I was yeah, I'm going to chalk this one up to pure naivete and ignorance. I knew basically that there had been a scary movie called Krampus a while ago, and I have some sort of vestigial, osmosis through the internet images of like hooved sack carrying demony kind of character around Christmas time. That's like not Santa Claus probably, but yeah, I knew nothing about any of the fanciful creatures that we meet in our story at all. And it could all be 100% true or 100% features of the Medi mind, and I would be exactly as comfortable with it either way.
I just want to clarify, when we say true, we're not saying that these monsters exist. We're just saying that there's precedent in folklore.
No, I think on the spectrum of 100% true and completely fabricated in the mind of Medi, there's a fairly wide berth there, and I'm comfortable with anywhere it falls.
And there's a lot of true creatures in this.
Oh yeah.
Even the ones that don't speak, a lot of the ones that are mentioned are different creatures and characters throughout mythology.
Oh, yes.
Whether they're still around is a whole different question. But
yeah, of course. Right.
We're talking about a while ago.
Right.
Like the Mariluid, the herd of skeleton horses. And this is a Welsh tradition. And if you don't know it, it's bonkers. Some guy carrying a horse skeleton comes to your house and like sings rhymes to you about wanting to come into your house. And then you have to make up rhymes in response about why he's not allowed in your house. Ooh. And if he basically you're in a rap battle with a dead horse. And if he wins, he and his friends get to come inside and drink all your alcohol and raid your fridge.
No. No, we need that.
And there's more than just that, Liz. The dwarf that builds the 3 gifts for the daughters at the beginning of the play is the dwarf that built Mjolnir for Thor in the Norse mythology. You knew that. See, you knew that.
Adam picked it up. Yes.
What about Brocker? Who's Brocker?
That's it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. 2. Hold on. Got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, when folklore is that weird, who needs a Sean Meddy to make stuff up? We need you, Sean. I love you.
At least to type it out. Or sequence is helpful.
It so is helpful. So a lot of this is about family and tradition. And so I was hoping that you all would tell me about familial traditions, holiday traditions that are meaningful for you. And like, I don't want to I just realized that I'm like, what are you really going to miss this year as we all lock ourselves in our homes? But like, what brings you joy every year? Adam, how about you tell us?
So I have 3 younger siblings, and now we've added Kelsey, my wife, and my brother's fiance, Rachel. We do a gift exchange every year. So you draw somebody's name out of a hat and you have to get a gift for them, you know? And that is a blast because the different individual relationships you have with those people definitely changes what that gift could be. And it's just really interesting to see what you end up with.
That's lovely. Sean Meddy, what do you do for the holidays?
It's weird. It's changed over the years.
Sure, because once you were a child and now you're mostly not. I mean, honestly, I just assumed that like the holidays aren't a big thing for you. You definitely don't have gear or garments related to them. It's just like, it's another day.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I'll be honest with you. It's a weird double-edged sword, especially this year, because like most of the time in December I'm working. So it's just kind of like a lot of traditions I've had to put them away. There's a great line in a play called 12 Dates of Christmas where the actor says, if you can say, God bless us, everyone, you can find work at Christmas. And that's sort of been my philosophy the past several years. So this year I've gotten to do some of the things that I haven't. I have 3 trees up in my living room right now. Yeah, I'm that person. So I've got a big 7.5 footer and then 2 3-footers that are both themed. One of them's just birds. One of them is a s'mores and dinosaurs theme tree. But yeah, I guess other traditions, I think I still go to church. If I can, I still try to go to the midnight service. My family's name is part of, originates from, it's from Krishmita, which is the service between Christmas Eve and Christmas that happens around midnight. That's where the last part of my name derives. So,
oh my God, it's like the Mass in Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess that is the biggest continual tradition out of the lifetime that I have been on this earth.
Oh, that's so lovely. And I'm not going to roast you about the Christmas trees now, but I hope you know what's coming in a text tonight. JK, I adore you. He's got a bird-themed Christmas tree. Ladies, if you want his number, text me.
Please, no, don't. I'm going mute. I'm muting.
James, tell us about your Christmases.
Happy to. Sure. I mean, so we didn't really have much of a consistent Christmas tradition aside from generally getting together, generally doing gifts, but there wasn't a whole lot of like hard midnight stuff. But it was just sort of generally the time of year to get together. But I really remember one Christmas, I forget how old I was, that my mom just like crushed it so hard that there couldn't have been like anything else to look forward to. So I think she kind of like broke Christmas by making it too good for me one time. And I blame her for why I kind of like, I have the Christmas spirit and all that. But like the ceremony of it has never matched this one year where I must have been, I don't know, like some single digit number. And are you familiar with Voltron?
Yes.
Good. It's important to the story. And so we didn't often get like a whole lot of, we weren't like, everyone got one gift. It was one of those households. And I remember I got a gift that I saw, and I opened it, and it was one of the 5 cats to make Voltron, and I was thrilled beyond measure. I was tickled so pink, and I was done. And then my mom was like, "Oh, look, I think there's another one," and I was like, "That's weird." And I opened the second one, and sure enough, it was a second one, and I was like, "I can't believe you got me 2 of the 5 cats of Voltron," and I'm still oblivious. And then she's like, "I think look over there. I think there's another one." And it took me like 3.5 openings before I put together my mom crushed Christmas so hard and got me all 5 cats. And I lived in that moment of like realization, incremental realization, until I had built the Voltron. And like nothing in my life is compared to that joy.
That's so beautiful. It makes me
Yeah,
so happy.
Nice work, Mom. Nice work. She's probably not watching.
Way to break Christmas, James's mom.
She ruined it for me. So like my aspiration in life is to try to repeat that for somebody somehow. I mean, that was unreal.
That's
Sorry.
having emotions. I'm Jewish. Since when do I have Christmas emotions? Jared, tell me about your family's holidays. It doesn't have to be Christmas.
Yeah, well, this one does happen to be Christmas. So to start this tradition, my uncle is really big into fishing. He has been for ages. And when I think it was my parents were on their honeymoon, they were somewhere near some body of water, and in a gift shop, they saw the like ugliest ornament they've ever seen, because it was just like a puffer fish, like a real petrified puffer fish that was blown up, and someone had like put string on it and was selling it as an ornament. And they were like, "Oh my God, that's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. We have to give this to Larry as a joke." And so for Christmas, they gave him this hideous puffer fish, and we're trying to play it off like seriously at first. And then eventually, it led on that like, that's not your real gift. We got you something else. Well, the next year, someone got a suspiciously small box, someone else did, and opened it, and it was the puffer fish. And he'd regifted it. And this has gone on for 35 years. And I've received it at least like 2 or 3 times. And then we still have the same card, just with like everyone's name crossed out like dozens and dozens of times, and trying to fit in the tiniest like Merry Christmas. And it's a lot of fun hiding it in different boxes and people trying to figure out who's going to get the pufferfish that year. So it's fun.
That's incredible and it's very sweet as dead animal-based traditions go.
Right.
Zoe, tell us about your holidays.
I'm gonna veer off from Christmas and actually go with Thanksgiving. I have a fairly secular family. My mom's family is Christian and my dad's family is Jewish. So like our immediate household always took care of Thanksgiving. So we'd have both sides come in, and my parents would host everyone in my family who was in town, any strays that didn't have anywhere else to go, 30 people at least every year. So I mean, still look forward to that. It's very sad and lonely this year, but yes, that's my favorite one. And then my dad every year, we've had a few repeats, but he tries to make a different turkey recipe every single year.
Does it always work out?
I think some are more successful than others, but I don't think we've ever had a bad turkey.
That's very tactful. My holiday things are all family meal related too. My grandmother, I know I said I was Jewish, my family still gets together on Christmas, and my grandmother on Christmas Eve would always make lobster spaghetti sauce, which is just like regular red sauce with bits of lobster in it. And it is probably not appetizing if you didn't grow up with it. But when it's like your grandma, it's like, it's special. Henry, my friend, I'm going to ask you for clip 2. Could we hear, please, clip 2 of Krampus Claus?
Bag.
I know, I kid. I try to make you smile.
You need to smile more. Even when you were with him, you still smiled. You knew who you were. A demon. The demon of Christmas. Ha ha.
I was a fool. I should have known what was going on. You did.
I did.
Why didn't you say anything?
It was not my place to intervene. I do not have authority over you or him. Truthfully, I do not know under whose authority you fall.
If I had only known.
Krampus, you cannot change the past. You can only learn from it. The deeds that were done are done. You cannot bring back the dead, not permanently, that is. If you did, then I would need to intervene.
Intervene was that last word. Yeah. So that was our friends James and Adam as Krampus and Chernabog.
I just want to say, hearing that again, I realized that perhaps I was at least unconsciously influenced by Adam Sandler's The Goat Song. If you don't know that, it's a deep cut. You'll have to go back and listen to it.
I know what I'm doing when we finish up here. After I finish sending bullying texts to Sean Meddy, then I'm going to go look it up. In case anybody's worried about Mr. Meddy, he's fine. I've never bullied him in my life. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I realized, Jared, as I was putting together the clips for this, that I didn't have any of you, and that is sort of on purpose, because you were so good. You were so good. But my Ulbricht goes on such a crazy roller coaster of a journey here that I was afraid that anything would spoil a plot twist, you know? So if you'd like to go on that journey with Mr. Erland here, I'm assuming you see him as I do on my computer, then you'll just have to download Krampus Claus from notheater.com. To wrap things up, I'm going to ask a last question, and then we're going to listen to one final clip. I would like to know, again, in a very eventful and action-packed play, what is your favorite moment or line in this play? James, you do most of the talking, so let's start with you. It doesn't have to be your own line. It could be somebody else's.
Are there other lines? No,
Not important ones.
There's a moment really early on, because Christmas stories generally, it feels like it's a lot about like family, whatever it's the family you choose or not or whatever. And we have like a bunch of misfits in this story that all get along with integrity and pride together. That's just really kind of, it seems automatic in it. And there's this really beautiful moment I thought early on, just where like there's like the candy's dropping or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the first hint of menace or threat comes into our story with like the sort of like with Frau Perkta, I think.
Right.
Just the tiniest hint of like meanness at all. And we have three sisters who like all have each other's backs, and they all like jump on the grenade to be Spartacus, you know. They're all like, it's my fault. No, it's my fault. No, it's my fault. And I just like that one moment was like, okay, these guys, like, I don't know what the story's going to be, but like these guys got each other. And that kind of stuck with me. That sort of like vibe of like having each other kind of stuck with me. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Jared, how about from you?
I think my favorite moment is when we're introduced to the Wolpertinger, and just the idea that it's something that they keep killing by accident, maybe even out of love, and they have to keep bringing it back to life. And just the idea of that, I just think it's really funny.
Yes. Try not to kill the Wolpertinger more than twice a year. It makes me laugh every single time. Maddie, I know that this is your baby and like parents don't have favorites, whatever. Sounds like a lie to me. But do you have a favorite moment in this story?
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't. I have lots of favorite moments in this for me.
Yeah, they're all your babies.
I know. I would say for me, my favorite moment of the show was the hardest one for me to write. There is a transition in the show. It's a soliloquy given by Krampus near the end of the show, and he's left Chernobog's mountain domain, and he's heading back to his house, his workshop, and it's just him on his trustful steed Harlech. So really, it's just this creature on his horse, and he's riding back, and he's trying to process everything. And for me, this was the last thing I wrote in the show. I could not for the life of me figure out this moment. It was this section of the show that really had to connect everything that I had written before, and everything. How I wrote the show is I wrote the end of it, and then I went back and started at the very beginning and wrote up to that point. And there was just this transition. And I wrote it, I think, like the last night, and I was walking out under the stars, and it was one of those beautiful asteroid showers back in early to mid-November. And I just realized that Krampus would be taking this moment. It's a soliloquy. I didn't realize it was a soliloquy until that point. I was like, oh. And he's just reflecting on everything. And I think he's really reflecting on what he has to be as a father at that point. I think that's when the stars clear and he finally notices the stars. I think that's that moment, that whole soliloquy for me. And not just the way it's written, the way it's performed too, the way it's very genuine, even with Krampus's gravelly voice.
Yeah, James and I we called it the Krampalogue. And it was, I was super impressed with where Mr. Kiki landed on that as well.
Well,
Good
it
job,
helps to have
James.
good words and then good perspective, because otherwise I'm just lost saying words. No, you're the best.
No, you're the best. Adam, talk to me. What's your favorite bit in the play?
My favorite line in the play is a spoiler, so I can't say it. But James knows what I'm talking about, because James and I have a very interesting working relationship that has managed to teleport over this virtual format. I was really just amazed at how much heart this play has, because it could have easily just been like a silly Christmas play, and we've seen about 1 billion silly Christmas plays, and I just really appreciated that Sean invested enough of himself and enough vulnerability of himself as a writer to make this not just a silly Christmas play. It's really a touching story amidst all of the chaos and mythology. He managed to find a way to make it an actual sort of a universal story that allows us all to connect to it. And I just really I'm just really touched by it, actually.
That's so nice. Zoe, I put you at the end because I remembered to warn the other four. Yes, I can count, that I was posing that question, and I didn't warn you. So I wanted to give you some time to think about it. What's your favorite part in this show?
Thank you for the extra minutes. I'm sure I have many, but the one that popped into my head, there's a scene, and I won't give too much context, but the scene where Kahira and Frau Perkta have tea. And I think that conversation, Frau Perkta talks about kind of torture and fear. And I think that's a big loss of innocence moment for Kahira. And kind of like what Adam was saying, this isn't just some frothy, silly Christmas play. All these characters are going on a wild, twisty journey and dealing with some wild, twisty things. Like I said, Kahira was heavily inspired by Disney princesses. And I think that's the moment where she's like, oh, the world is not happy all the time, which also sets her up for things to happen later. So yeah, I think that's a really cool moment in the play.
I think we all had moments when we realized we were never going to have the life where bluebirds come to help us dress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard moment. because I am cold and soulless, my absolute favorite moment is when Ulbrecht walks in on Krampus and Frau Perkta having kind of a tender moment. And his response is, "There has to be somewhere else I could be." It just, every single time I hear it, and I've heard it like dozens of times now, every single time I laugh. Every single time. Can we hear, Henry, can we hear clip 3? I don't know why I'm looking past my computer like Henry's in my living room. Can we please hear clip 3 from Krampus Claus?
Nicholas.
Hello, son.
I am not your son.
You used to call me Father. Father Christmas. I raised you, taught you everything you know. And what do I get in return? Locked away so you can pretend to be something that you're not.
You're a monster.
For what? What I did to the human children? I rewarded the good ones with presents. Is that so wrong?
And had me kidnap the rest.
Oh, you enjoyed it.
I thought you were reforming them, helping them so they wouldn't turn out
Wouldn't
to...
what? End up like you, the demon of Christmas.
We were so lucky to get Abe Goldfarb to play St. Nicholas, Abe, who is not with us tonight. But yeah, I have called this play festive and feral in equal measure, and I think that reads pretty well from what we've seen here tonight. Does anybody, I would hate to get to the end of this and have anybody have like something that they were burning to say about this play and that they hadn't gotten a chance to. Does anybody like want to stick in their oar one last time? Anything burning in your heart? Yes, Adam, what's burning in your heart?
I was really struck by the fact that there's tenderness and intimacy between your male characters, which is not something you ever see full stop, like in entertainment. I just don't think that that's ever a thing that's seen without some weird subtext or some, like some motive or whatever. But they're just intimate, tender moments between male characters. And I'm like, hey, look, these male characters are actually fully fledged human beings. Well, ish, adjacent, human being adjacent. But I just thought that I was really struck by that.
Yeah. There's definitely it very much sort of rings of like the family that you choose is like there's a lot of integrity of just like, not having to prove yourself with these people who already know you and that you trust yourself with, and that they trust themselves with you, which makes any possible betrayals even more crippling, because it has to start from a place of like that would never happen. And it's to your credit, Mr. Mattei, it really bleeds through.
Well, thank you.
I'm having feelings now. Anything else before we call it a night? Wonderful. Well, Jared, Zoe, James, Adam, and Sean, thank you so much for being here with us. Again, we have been talking about Krampus Claus by Sean P. Meddy, which is available now to download on Radio No by visiting our website at notheater.com. Radio No is brought to you by Mest Comics, and these events are brought to you by Joe Mock and the Real Pro team at Cutler Real Estate. Thank you so much and have a great night.